I hear something over though.
You hear an echo?
No, actually, I hear you talking.
Okay, let me change my notes. Is it still there?
I hear you talking through my ace queen hand,
Dennis,
the runner straight
On
hand.
Johnny Vibes.
we've all been waiting.
Holy cow.
It's like towards the end of the show. It's
It's
perfect.
poker. So cruel. Pot's 2,715.
It's
Francisco with the
it's a hand I would
nuts.
soon like to forget,
Oh yeah,
but
I
it's
understand.
but it's
I was
in my
there.
ears.
I was watching. I know it's painful. It's just like in my head, I'm like, wow, how does this nightmare scenario play out? All right, like that, like this, that, this, and up. Chat, can you hear the background at its finest? Jinx to myself.
Oh, you can hear it too?
I can hear it, but I don't know if the chat can hear it. Chat, can you hear two Waynes? Chat, press 1 if you can hear two Waynes. Press 2 if you can hear one Wayne.
Yes, that's the hand I could hear.
Okay, I think Brian's got it in the mix.
We're good now.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I hear everything perfectly now.
We got Brian in the background. We're grinding. We're doing extra shows. We got JohnnieVibes, as Francisco calls him, from the San Diego area. I've been catching up on your stuff. I saw your last, vlog. We're gonna talk about that one. And
Yeah, lots been going on, man. A lot of
yeah, I
changes.
figure we want to catch up.
Today, I mean, I woke up in Vegas today, flew to San Diego, packed up my car with some belongings, and headed up to LA. So I didn't even get a chance to check out the Live at the Bike game today.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. It's in the archives.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Live with the Bike.
I,
Free week use code poker. Not yet, guys. Not yet.
I actually do subscribe to Live at the Bike.
Right.
I find it to be an invaluable tool. You guys did not pay me to say that.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, your vlogs are high quality, Joey. And I've
Not,
said
I
that.
mean, not only for watching my opponents play, but for watching myself play.
Right. There's a lot of stuff that I'm sure we view the same way. Like we know other people see us and they're like, oh, he did this, he did that, but we know what we're actually thinking, and we both tell the audience, you on your vlogs and me on the live by commentary. I'm like, I know what I was thinking, and man, I'm giving off like so many tells, but to the naked eye, it may
Yeah.
not be that obvious. I don't know if you discussed that
No,
stuff.
100%. And there are some things that I actually notice about hands that I play that I actually don't reveal on the vlog. In general, a lot of my opponents aren't watching the vlogs, but still there's still some that I hold back that I see that I notice in my own game.
Yeah, I mean, same way too, and just like it's really mind screws you. You're just like you're in this vortex. What does this person see? What does that person see? You start getting paranoid.
Totally. And like making content, it feels like there's another added level that of metagame that I have to play with myself, you know.
Right.
That what is this guy's image of me? Has he watched any of my videos? Is this the time that he wants to take a shot at me kind of thing?
Absolutely. Same thing happens to me, and it's just something that we have to deal with. I know you're close with like Daniel Negreanu, Christy Arnett, your brother, who shout out to him. He won a tournament here.
Yeah, I think he
Andrew.
got third
Oh,
or
you're third.
second.
Okay, well, he scored highly. I saw his picture or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, shout out to him. And Christy Arnett, who's done well on the show and final table
Yeah.
at least once. I'm not sure.
They both in the last year have gotten close to a ring three times. The second place, and a third place.
They couldn't put a ring on it.
No, they could not put a ring on it. They both are without rings at this point. And it's funny, I don't think that I've actually ever played a ring event in my entire life.
That is definitely true for me.
I've played the World Series of Poker every summer, the
Mhm.
the main event for sure, and I mix in some really large field tournaments usually during the summer as well, but don't really play too many tournaments.
Well, we'll get into your ring pursuit later, but first, I'm going to introduce you. This is PokerCraft, the Live at the Bike Poker podcast. We have Johnny Vibes, who's been a reg on the show, actually played on Live at the Bike before he started his high quality vlog.
Yeah, couple sessions. I think I put in 4 sessions prior to ever creating a piece of content.
And we have, I believe, your first session here, unless I missed it.
I think it is my first session on Live at the Bike.
So yeah, we're gonna get into that. But first, let's go through the Johnny Vibe story and how you got into poker. I know your
Yeah.
vloggers, your audience knows, but to recap for the Live of the Bike audience.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this game a long time, man. I quit my job 12 years ago as a software developer,
I remember that.
and I was living in Vegas and basically played a mix of online and live cash games.
Hmm.
And when I was, tired of the live grind, I would put in more time online, get more hours, go through more poker tracker stats to see where some leaks were. I found it to be an invaluable tool for really identifying leaks in my game and developing a technical aspect of my game that was obviously really highly valued in poker. And then I would go back to live and practice some of these things and put into practice things that I learned online. So it was kind of a constant back and forth. It was kind of a rake back pro online. I was winning a couple big blinds an hour, but putting in a lot of volume. And back then, the rake back was pretty nice.
Right.
And then on Black Friday, I was actually on a cruise ship out of Miami, and I got that whole splash screen that was like,
Mm.
your account is frozen, you can't access, basically.
You have no
And
dollars anymore.
yeah, and I remember thinking like, well, I'm not going to have any computer access for like the next 5 days, so I just got to forget about this, and hopefully it'll be resolved by the time I get home.
It's funny is like I didn't have much, but I still have money on Poker Stars.
Wow.
That's because I was able to log on when I was in Taiwan or something, and I'm like, oh, I still got a couple bucks. I don't know how I'm gonna take it out, but like
That's crazy. I wonder, I guess if you established in another country, you could probably have access to that. And
Oh yeah, I actually tried for like a short period, and it wasn't able to do it because my address was still here.
Okay.
So whatever. Anyway, tangent going with
yeah, so then once the Black Friday thing happened, it kind of forced me to make a decision. Do I want to go to Mexico or Canada,
Yeah.
or do I want to fully switch to live? And at the time, I was living in Las Vegas. My brother was living in Las Vegas. Christy, my whole poker crew is in Vegas. And I just made the decision to focus on the live grind. And in retrospect, I think that was a great decision for me. I think that I prefer the live grind over the online grind, just mostly because of the sociability aspect of poker. I love that part of it, and that's one of the reasons why I left being a software developer. Being in a cubicle every day.
I did literally the same thing. I just couldn't. I was a computer science major at UCSD, and I just like my mom got ill, and I just didn't have the will to finish, and I had to pay for school. So,
Yeah,
poker. And then,
but I think that I wouldn't trade the million or so hands that I played online because that was the foundation for me to kind of parlay it into a live career. And yeah, and it also forced me to start climbing stakes faster live because if I wanted to make a decent living, I was gonna have to play bigger than 2-5. So it basically put me down this path of reaching for higher stakes every year or so. And it was a pretty slow process, to be honest. I started playing 1-2, no limit in Las Vegas, and it took me about 6 years to get to 510, which
really, wow,
it's kind of a long time.
that's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then once I got to 510, I started playing 1020, and then I started like taking shots at 2550, obviously you can see on Live at the Bike.
Right.
And then I did that within a 3-year span, and then once I hit the 9-year mark, kind of, it was tougher to play big because the games just weren't there anymore.
Right.
A lot of them had gone private. The games in San Diego weren't what they were. We had
What approximate year was this? Or are you talking about like right now?
it's like 3 years ago.
3 years
It
ago.
started like dissipating a little bit, and now it's to the point of where we don't even get a 510 game in San Diego anymore.
So we just kind of missed each other in the San Diego years because I was playing online and I went to UC San Diego. So I went to Saquon Barona, started from the bottom up, then ended up at Oceans, though it was mainly limit hold'em. And then when online came out, I went to online, and then no limit took off. So I was playing no limit online, then live in Commerce, and then in 2007 I moved to Santa Monica before I graduated, then did a whole bunch of stuff, and then you probably went to San Diego during that time.
Yeah, I had reached kind of a point in Vegas where I wanted a more normal, balanced lifestyle, and I had been coming out to Oceanside and playing at Ocean's 11,
Yeah.
staying on the beach. I was just like in love with the lifestyle.
It's a great place. Yeah.
And Ocean's 11 is actually less than a mile from the ocean.
Yeah.
Like I was in between the ocean and Ocean's 11. I would actually walk to Ocean sometimes.
Really?
and
Wow.
I could walk to the beach. It was just
Well,
such a great lifestyle.
I'm
So
lazy, but I know from Ocean's 11, if you go towards the ocean, there's like, a cafe burger joint or whatever. I think
yeah,
the open one.
they've
Yeah, it's a
actually
pretty nice
redone
one.
that whole road. It's a
Wow.
Mission, and it's a one-way
Yeah,
road now, and
Mission.
it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Oceanside has come a long way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if I have a reason to go down there, and as much as I
Yeah,
got so many responsibilities here, especially since you say the games are dried up there. But
yeah, the games have dried up.
it was part of my development for sure. And
Hmm.
Sean Snyder, John Cohen, Chris
Yep,
Brewer. Yeah,
yep,
those are all guys. I mean, I've known Sean Snyder for over almost 15 years, and
yeah,
then he went to UC Santa Barbara. I just got to know Chris Brewer. John Cohen, I know have played on and off over the years, but
yeah,
there's just like a lot of migration history between San Diego, Los Angeles, Vegas, Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Los
totally.
Angeles.
Yeah, once I left Vegas and kind of saw what the other side could be, living in Southern California next
Oh
to
yeah,
the beach,
absolutely.
not staying up all night,
Right.
and my relationship started to thrive at that point, started to make a lot more money. Then I was playing 510 on a consistent basis, and things were just like kind of skyrocketing at that point. So I never thought the money was gonna go away,
Hmm.
and I lived
You,
accordingly.
yeah, you didn't even play in the heyday. The money was better when, I guess, but it was more limit hold'em. There was a 40-80 limit with a kill,
Hmm.
and money was a lot more free.
Yeah.
Like you could, even though it's 40-80 or sorry, it wasn't a kill, it was overs.
Mm.
So
And the overs turns it into no limit, right?
no, it turns into double the stakes.
I see.
So it's if like there's 9 people playing, but only we have overs, and everybody else drops out of the pot. Now we're playing. Now the bet is double.
I see.
So it's like 8160, which is
Okay.
massive.
Wow.
And you know as well as I do, when people like kind of they don't really understand. I mean, stakes are like say you play 1025 or sorry 1020 or 2550. It's different in LA and Vegas and San Diego. The game texture is different, the aggression is different, the hand values are different,
Totally.
which is why it's great you have a vlog so we could see the hands you play, you report them, because one of the big fallacies of doing hand histories in a forum is like, oh, you donk, why didn't you do that? It's like, okay, the game texture is different in different locations, so it's not universal. But when, say, you, Andrew Nemi, Brad Owen, are a specific location, like this location, this,
Hmm.
player pool is you play it like this, then,
Yeah.
you're really
Yeah, it's funny. I mean,
getting
I just got
personal.
done doing a trip across Texas,
Hmm.
and I played some 1-3 in Texas, and
Really different.
there was some 5K stacks. So it's really tough to discuss a 1-3 hand when you're 5K effective versus like someone who has 1-3 experiences playing in Las Vegas maybe with a $600 stack.
Right.
So like some of the things that, calling four bets or something, they would be like, "What are you doing?" But
Yeah, but if you have implied odds,
yeah,
right?
well, implied odds just like a million big blinds deep. I can make an argument for calling with any hand at this point.
Sure, just flop 2 pair better. The
Yeah.
guy's gonna stack off with aces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just like we all have different experiences that are built off fundamentals. And then, while you were grinding in San Diego, you came in, like you said, came on Live with the Bike a few times, then started your high quality vlog. I've watched several of those. Obviously, I'm very busy, so I sporadically try to catch up. And of course, it's a pleasure for you to come in, especially when I'm commentating, and then kind of see how everybody's evolving. You obviously been a veteran a long time, so it's just like it's just a good inside look. Like people get to see your vlog, which
Hmm.
is you're the star of that show, and then you come on Live with the Bike, where the Live with the Bike forum is the star, and
Yep.
they get to see you in action. And I've always said on broadcast, and I know you hear my commentary, you're a very good live read
Hmm.
player, and you could tell by the accuracy. And obviously, if you get bad beat by like Francisco, that ridiculous.
Yeah. I think that it's not exactly the live reads, I would say. What I would more say is that I just have a pretty good grasp on population tendencies.
Hmm.
So in spots where the math says sometimes you're supposed to call
Yeah.
certain player types, I just lean towards overfolding against them in certain
Okay.
spots.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I consider that part of live read. It's
yeah,
not necessarily like a tele. It's just like you're in there in person, where like you said, in an online setting, you're probably doing what's more game theory optimal.
for sure. There's that part of the game, it just isn't there.
Yeah.
The part where you can just look across the table and look at your opponent, and it's not that you're getting a live read on them, it's that you're sizing them up and just
Yep.
thinking about what that particular person is capable of in that
Yes.
moment,
Yeah. I agree. So people like, in this era, the current era, obviously Garrett Adelstein, Andy, but also in the past like Ryan Fee, yourself, Alec Torelli, me. If you look at all of our crucial hands, the accuracy is like very high, like 80, 85% plus,
Yeah.
and that's where that live read stuff comes in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you like studied any of the book stuff.
I've done some looking into it a little bit, and it's tough, man. I think that there are 1,000 other pieces of information that we get to analyze
Yes, I
before we
agree.
get to that.
Right.
So there's always something that I could have added to the equation to help me with that last piece, which is the live situation.
Yeah.
Is this guy over bluffing, under bluffing? Is he capable of doing what he's doing right now?
Right. So, I see, you traveling around with the meetup games with like also Andrew Nemi, Brad Owen, and, doing your own things, you and Wino Poker too,
Hmm.
and all the other stuff. You want to talk about those experiences? I mean, I
Yeah.
also remember too, like your rise to fame with the vlogs. And of course, we had a little misunderstanding in the beginning. Like, Weez and I are a total comedic group, and I get like if people don't necessarily watch Live at the Bike or understand where we're coming from, it might be interpreted weirdly because a lot of times commentary is more strategic, and we're just like having fun because the audience is used to the same people and used to us.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of not too bad, just a little bit of misunderstanding that this is like a totally new, form, just like the vlogs is a totally new form, and it kind of caught like the poker world by storm. That used to be more focused on traditional,
Yeah.
like hand analysis sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So the first thing is I'll describe, I guess, the start of your vlog journey and
Hmm.
kind of your rise to
Yeah.
prominence in that.
Okay. Yeah, you want me to talk on that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the the vlog thing was just kind of an evolution of me wanting to be creative. I kind of, like I said, I thought the money was just gonna always come in, so kind of reduced my play schedule to more around 20 hours a week. And I started adding in hobbies because I didn't want to get burned out because 10 years deep in poker, burnout is like something that
Oh
happens to a lot of
yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
I wanted to balance my life really well. So I learned how to DJ, learned how to
I
mash up,
remember.
learned how
Was
to
that your
produce.
first vlog? You mentioned on
I
your
don't,
first
I
vlog?
might have mentioned it.
I
Yeah,
saw the vlog where you mentioned the DJ stuff,
yeah,
and yeah, basically when you came on, and I'm just like, obviously doing our research, and I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely shout that out.
yeah. So I was like, let's learn how to DJ. Let's learn how to make a mix and produce a little bit. And I remember, the evolution of that is go to a club and DJ.
Right.
And I did that a couple times, and it's terrifying, by the way. It's like it's like playing poker for the first time
Yeah.
in a live casino.
Yeah.
So I kind of scratched that off the bucket list, was having fun with it, but there's not a lot of money in DJing, so I just kind of wanted to keep it as a hobby.
Right.
I mean, unless you're like,
DJ Melody.
somebody extraordinary.
Right.
And then, but I still wanted that creative thing. I think I made 9 mixes on SoundCloud that were like really highly produced mixes that took me 40 hours to make, that were like
Yeah.
30, 35 minutes long. And that had kind of run its course where I'm like, what's next? And I was like, one of the things I really wanted to do, and I was really into fashion, is I wanted to make clothes. So that was like another creative outlet. And then I eventually was like, well, let's combine my business, making videos, music, and now let's sprinkle in video.
Hmm.
And I started like making videos for the clothes, putting together little advertisements that I would put on Instagram, things like that. And I just took it another step further. I'm like, what if I actually get in front of the camera? And I'm like, well, what would I talk about? And I'm like, well, I play poker
Right.
and I travel a lot. I
Yeah.
think that those are 2 things I could talk about. I could get better at public speaking. I could learn to sell my product better. I could learn these cool little creative video transitions and just learn how to get better at it. It's kind of the logical evolution of it. And I was having fun. I basically said, I'm going to do 10 videos. I'm going to talk about my life. And after 10 videos, that'll be like the goal.
Mhm.
But the 7th video kind of went viral in the poker space.
Okay.
And it picked up a lot of steam, and a lot of people were subscribing. A lot of people were like, give us more. We want to hear more about the poker.
Hmm.
So I started talking a little bit less about the business and a little bit less about the traveling and started focusing more on the poker because that's what people wanted.
Right.
And yeah, it just became this machine of like this creative outlet and also serving people in a way where they got to take a glimpse into the life. I got to give them some thought process stuff, and people were really receptive to it and learning, and I loved it, so kept it going.
So this goes into like a topic that in this era in the last, I don't know, 3 to 4 years, especially since I've been alive, like the poker landscape in media has really changed. You know, obviously there's the vlogs, there's Live with the Bike or just poker shows in general. There's the training sites, you know, even the World Series or Triton or Poker Go, like that's all evolving. And there was probably, you know, a misunderstanding plus a little hater on like, you know, platform to platform when it's like, and we had briefly talked about this, but I wanted to especially address this on here on the PokerCraft podcast. Live with the Bike is less specialized than say your personal vlog or Andrew Nemi or Brad Owen or say like Doug Polksbrand or Joe Inglisbrand, which is very polarized to your guys' fan base. And all of you guys have fans, and in my opinion, all you guys are a positive influence on the poker community. One, because you're just keeping people interested. Two, I've been Live with the Bike / me have been accused of when we give out poker information, it makes the games tougher. And they're like, why do you do that? You know, it makes it hard for the pros. And I'm just like, if you don't educate people, they're never going to come back, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a natural evolution
Yeah,
of
there's
humanity.
a fine line between promoting and giving away secrets or whatever.
Right.
And I think what the vlogs do is they give an inside look as to how the mind of a poker player works,
Yeah.
what we do on a daily basis, how like actually going to the casino and buying in. Here's how we do it. This is the chips, you know.
Right.
It's like a little bit of an education on how you even play poker,
Yeah.
you know. And I do like to give something a little bit more for the higher level player. But to be honest, if I talked about a hand for more than 45 seconds, I would lose the majority of my audience.
Yeah.
So I keep it pretty basic, more like shy away from the strategy a little bit, and I just love promoting the game that I love, you know?
Sure.
And I think that overall it brings more people to the table
Right.
than it does educates the higher level player.
Got it. I totally agree. And this is a discussion. I didn't talk to Joe Ingram about this specifically, but I think we all agreed that, like, you know, any poker content that leads people in the positive direction is just kind of good for poker. And different forums have, you know, different angles to take. Like at Live with the Bike, like I answer public questions and I give like my takes, but I'm not really a personal brand. I'm like, you know, this is our home. Whereas like you guys are a different brand. And then just like and the training sites, it's a competition of, you know, say Upswing, it's Doug Polk, or Crush Light Poker, it's Bart Hansen, or Run and Once, it's like Phil Galfond, et cetera, et cetera. They're trying to be like, we are the credible training site. Whereas the vlog isn't necessarily like, oh, I'm a trainer to play poker. It's like, you know, the poker experience. And you were doing it from San Diego, whereas Andrew Nemi and Brad Owen are doing it from Vegas. So it's a totally different like context. The games are totally different.
Yeah,
so
totally.
for the audience that don't know, because I've obviously played in Vegas and San Diego, so I know just literally the differences. So if you say that one hand that you play in San Diego, if you duplicated it in Las Vegas or LA or the Bay Area, guess what? The play's totally different.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, totally different player pool.
Right.
100%.
So the same thing too is also like education. Like you could learn from book, you can learn from YouTube video, you can learn from a teacher, a coach, a tutor. It's like all this stuff is like still within education, or you know. And I feel like the kind of misunderstanding is like, and we're not necessarily each other's demographic. Like you obviously respect what you do, you respect what Live with the Bike does, but I'm not watching your stuff like religiously. I'm gonna pick up the highlights and be like, this is high quality, right? You know? But I mean, in all seriousness, it's like we can respect other forums even if we're not like watching them religiously. To just bring, as long as they're bringing people in positively, then you know what's
Yeah,
a
no, I
big
agree.
deal.
And the thing with the training sites is I think that if that people are going to want to become educated
Yes.
regardless, and they're going to seek out education. So the fact that you're providing a training site does not diminish or make the games harder for those players because they're going to go to a training site anyways. They're going to find education. So I think that it's short-sighted to say that a training site is bad for poker. I think that in general, it's good for poker for people to have a genuine interest and consume content that brings them to the poker table.
Yeah, totally agree. And ever since you guys came up with vlogging, there's been a lot of other people like P's and Q's of vloggers. He's gonna be coming on too. Like, do you have any advice for those guys coming up?
It's interesting because people always ask me, how do I have a successful vlog? And to me, I never really went into it thinking I'm going to build an audience and I'm going to have a successful vlog. It was, I want to do something creative and fun that I really love to do. Like, I really love the music part of it, and I love the creative part of like mixing videos together and trying to be creative and fun. So the actual building of the audience was a byproduct of me loving it so much.
Right.
But I see so many people that are like, how do I create the best vlog because I want to build an audience?
Right.
And then they're like, when they don't build the audience,
They're
after like a couple of videos, they quit because they don't actually love making the videos.
right.
For me, I just kept making the videos because I loved them. 6 videos in, which is not a very long time, that nobody was really watching. But then on the 7th video, I was like, wow, all of a sudden people watched and it kept me going. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that have done 1 or 2 poker vlogs.
Hmm.
I would say that 90% of the poker vlogs out there are Poker Vlog 1 and Poker Vlog 2, and nobody ever gets past that point.
So, I mean, that also goes to like entrepreneurship or just like, pursuing any art in general where like you need endurance. You need to love what you do because the love for what you do creates endurance and just sticking through the tough times. Like, I'm sure you've gone through really tough times. We'll get to your last vlog later. But just like obviously a lot of this stuff, there's bad times and it's being able to stick to the bad times. You're like, wow, I really want to keep doing this.
Yeah, so this brings up another point for me. I think that a lot of people are afraid to talk about losing, and they're afraid to be vulnerable in a way that shows that they're not the perfect poker player.
Right.
And the actual vlog that I went semi-viral on was a vlog where I made a ton of mistakes and I got crushed for a large amount of money.
Right.
And I actually showed the frustration of that. And people started watching that and they related to the fact that, wow, actually, when I sit down at a poker table, this happens to me sometimes.
Yeah.
And I never pre-planned which sessions were going to be. I mean, I didn't only do the winning sessions. I pre-planned. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to make a vlog. And then I would go, regardless of what happened, if I won or lost,
Sure.
I would show what happened. And I was never afraid to be vulnerable. I was never afraid to show the losses because that's just real life. And I also had a high level of confidence in my game. So trolling comments and things like that didn't bother
Whatever.
me as
Yeah,
much,
That's a reality.
Yeah, so I wasn't afraid to put mistakes out there because and I knew the mistakes and it's fine. It's not going to bother me.
Right. It's kind of lost then. So yeah, like I think that part of that too is just like whether say you want to do the DJ clothing brand or engineering, it just like you have to like love what you do. So when the bad times hit, it's gonna show and it'll take you through. But I'm sure you feel the same way. We encourage and are happy for those guys that did 1 or 2 vlogs. At least you know what it's like and how hard it is.
Yeah, you tried out something, you followed your curiosity. I mean, that's what my life has been. It's been me searching for things that creatively inspire me, things that I can be passionate about, even if it's on a short-term basis, and just following that thread and seeing if it sparks something like even deeper, and who knows, Mike, I may have made the 10 videos and nobody would have ever watched and it would have been a lot of fun and
It's part of your life.
yeah, and I maybe would have quit at that point. So the result definitely fuels the passion within inside of you. So we all have passion to a point, and then when things get hard or when things don't turn into money or it becomes a
You get
grind,
priced out, yeah.
it
Or a
becomes a
grind,
grind,
right,
then that's when the passion starts to die a little bit. But if you do have some results along the way, it kind of throws some more logs on the fire to keep that passion going.
Right.
And even in poker, like if you are great at poker and you're passionate and you're learning all the time, but if you reach a plateau where your win rate isn't going up or it's going down, that fire inside of you sometimes like starts to fade. You're like, why am I doing this? This is such a grind, and I'm not even making the money I was making before. And we all
Right.
have those inner questions. But then the moment you spend more time in the lab and you turn it around, your win rate skyrockets, and you start really seeing results, then that passion kind of gets reignited inside of you. So I think that passion can only take you so far. You definitely have to have some results tied to that.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just even a lot of stuff, say me pursuing screenwriting, like getting finalist in a contest or, applying to the UCLA Master of Fine Arts program and getting an interview. That stuff is like a benchmark. Or,
Hmm.
just Martin Schaefer, who plays High Stakes Mixed Game, he was nice enough to read one of my scripts and gave like feedback that you can't Google. So
Yeah.
that's just like
And
huge.
the moment that you feel like you've made some progress in screenwriting,
You're like,
you
boom.
like run home and like start writing more on the script, you
Yeah.
know? It
Yeah.
like reignites that fire in you. So
Yeah.
I think that you just have to, if you really love something, just set yourself up to have small wins
Yeah.
to keep that fire going.
Totally agree. That's so guys, this is the encouragement from the true grinders. And same
You know what's funny though is like the conversation that we're having right now. These are things that I work through on a daily basis. Just I love taking poker and taking the lessons that I get from poker and applying them to my life, and that's a lot of what the vlog has been. And I've kind of carved out a niche a little bit for taking these lessons and applying them to my own life, communicating with the audience. So I think that's another great thing for the vlog for me. It's caused a lot of introspection and a lot of self-growth.
and a lot of people have said something like the game of poker is a little bit of a metaphor for life.
Hmm.
And just like real life, our mistakes are the things that kill us, not necessarily like how we're performing on our A game all the time. Because when you're
Yeah,
performing on your A game, like you're just crushing it. It's like
totally.
not a big deal. But when I tweeted out something like I think a month ago or something, I said, um, your lifetime poker results have more to do with your F game than your A
Hmm.
game.
Yeah, totally.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page for that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's the poker. Like, I encourage the same thing for people, for Live at the Bike. Like, obviously, there's a lot of chat pros, and it's not even like I don't even really blame them because it's like when you see these things, like, oh, it's so obvious when you know how it is because we
Yeah.
played out there. When you're the one facing the bet, we are the only ones that can't see our opponent's cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like everybody sees from a third person point of view.
Hmm.
It's very easy. So when I do commentary, I try to be understanding.
Yeah.
But I also encourage like people to just like come on and play.
But
So
I, I'm a human being, so I'm gonna make mistakes.
yeah, we all do.
And if people in the chat point it out, that's fine.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
of course, yeah, I made a mistake there. Like I'm not gonna argue with you about it. Sure, yeah, I'm not the perfect player, and I'm gonna look at that, and maybe there was something that I missed, and that I can learn from and reincorporate back into my game.
So this is a topic that you said you've grown from, which is the markup topic. Like,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
it's okay, so I'll set it up a little bit and then you just kind of like, put a cap on it because it's been a while now. And,
Yeah.
a lot of us are kind of like, watching intently, like we know the intent of all sides, but a lot of us are kind of like, it doesn't have to be like this, this can go down like this, so to say.
Yeah.
So, and correct me if I got any mistakes wrong. So for like a World Series package, you offer it to your audience, like I believe it was 1.38 markup, was it? And then you got attacked most specifically by Doug Polk and Sean Deeb, and then you kind of had to go to your own defense
Yeah.
and go from there. So
Yeah. In a nutshell, what happened is I decided that I wanted to play the World Series of Poker, and I wanted to play like a fairly full schedule. And in order for me to do that, that meant that I wasn't gonna be able to play as many cash games.
yeah,
And hold on one second.
sure.
I
We're back on the scene. Crisp
had
and
a tickle in my throat. And in order for me to play a full tournament schedule, I was gonna have to give up some cash games. And so what I wanted to do was, and also I wanted to document it. I wanted to share what was going on at the World Series of Poker in vlog format, which meant I was gonna have to spend a lot of hours working on the vlog. I was actually gonna have someone help me with editing
clean.
on a short-term basis. So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I am definitely going to have to sell some action. And I got to think of like, what is my time worth giving up to not play cash games and go down this endeavor and create all this content? And I kind of looked at what other people sold for the weekend tournaments and the main event specifically. And I saw that, specifically for the main event, people sell for absurd markups. And it's because it's the highest equity tournament that you're going to have. So that
Right.
was like kind of the crown jewel of the package. So I kind of based everything on what I would sell for the main event for, and then these weekend large field tournaments, figured that the tournaments would be soft, and I just settled on a number. There was no calculation of what I thought my EV was or anything like that. It was like, what is my time worth? What do I think the market will bear? And what do I think is fair for the market? So I just came up with a number and I posted it in my private Facebook group and it sold out in 2 hours. So I didn't sell that much, but it just wasn't, it was like highly sought after. But somebody in my private Facebook group took a screenshot of what I posted in Facebook
Okay.
and sent it, posted it online somewhere, and then, and I think in some forum, and then Doug Polk and well, I think Sean Deeb was the first one.
Okay.
He said that I was scamming people,
Okay.
and when I heard the word scam, it really frustrated me.
It's a very negative connotation.
Yeah, because the poker industry has been plagued with that word, and it's rightfully so. Like
Yeah.
people have scammed in poker,
Right.
and I thought that I was doing something that was totally fair. So to use the words scam and unethical really made me angry.
Hmm.
And it was coming from people that actually have a voice in the poker community and I thought knew better. So I came to my defense immediately, emotionally, and without much rational thought. I have to defend myself because I know I'm not scamming people. I need to like really come after these guys because these guys are so out of line. So I basically came after them and had some back and forth, and it didn't go well. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't go well. They they argued back with me. I think both of them have never lost. Neither of them have ever lost an argument. Yeah, so they're both really good at debating, and everything that I came to them with, they returned it around and came back with something. So at some point, I was like, I just got to stop the arguing because this isn't being constructive on any account. So I just offered a heads up bet with Sean about my World Series of Poker results. Basically, I thought that I was going to make my investors money. I also thought that I was a favorite against him in large field no limit tournaments, given that I wasn't going to be rebuying at a high frequency and I was going to be treating every bullet like it was gold. And I knew that he was going to be chasing Player of the Year. He was going to be multi registering, multi entering, and just really going after it. So as a result, I thought his ROI might dip in these tournaments. So
Okay.
after like analyzing that and knowing how serious I was taking this, I thought that I would have at least a shot at defending myself. And as it turned out, I performed well in those tournaments, and I made everyone who invested in me a 20% return on a month of holding their money. So exceeding the markup, 20% in excess of the markup.
Okay.
So it turned out well for me, and um, I afterwards ran into Sean Deeb, and we talked about it again, but it didn't go well again. So I just
I had
this
heard things, but I'll let you talk.
we got in an argument at the World Series of Poker in the hallway,
Yeah.
and at that point, I just realized that this was never going to resolve itself. So I just quietly collected the 5,000 and blocked him on all social media and moved on.
Let him clear his throat. The remix. So the thing is, like, obviously, one, the attack was on you. Two, it's your package. Sean Deeb is very vocal. Doug Polk is very vocal. Sean Deeb is a noted tournament player. A lot of the audience were just like watching and have less of a vested interest. But, obviously when something goes on, we listen to it, we have our own opinions, and we talk. So the loudest voices tend to be heard the most. So people took your side, people took their side. But a lot of us, like probably more on the sidelines people, pretty much come to the conclusion like you could charge whatever you want and just kind of go from there. And as long as you're going through with the deal, really that's kind of it. Whether you're overcharging or undercharging, that's kind of on you. And I think a lot of people try to assuage some of it. Like Timex came on, I think Mike McDonald came on, and then obviously Joey tried to get as many people's sides as possible. Daniel Negreanu, I think, did no markup as well, or something.
Yeah, but he weighed in on it, and his thought was that people should charge what they want to charge.
Yeah, no, I remember him saying that. I just like a lot of these actions are to try to like put out some of the fires, and I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not going to change Doug's mind or Sean Deeb's mind. I'm not even in the echelon of vested interest, you guys. But it's kind of like I think as a collective effort, I want people to kind of see that all of us on the sidelines are like, come on, guys, let's bring it home, bring it home. It's back to poker, and like this is a real debate, and it's a legitimate debate. But at the same time, like let's not dwell on it. Let's move on after we've discussed it. And
Yeah,
like
I think what I mostly learned from the situation was that arguing and creating a big public spat didn't serve me at all, and it the energy that I brought to it was negative, and that negative energy actually affected my daily life, and it affected my mindset, and it also affected my play, I think, in some of the
oh, of
tournaments.
course, yeah,
I think that I took some low variance routes in spots where I could have gambled more, and it was because I was so concerned with showing a positive ROI for the people that invested in me and not punting.
yeah.
And I think that it caused me to not build some stacks in some tournaments that I could have at some good tables.
That's part of the equation too, though.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's a personal choice and part of the equation, which, excuse me, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to. It's just kind of a reality. Like all of us, when things are going wrong with our lives, everything is affected. Like
Yeah.
our poker play is definitely affected.
Yeah.
And especially once you get older and you have more life responsibilities, this stuff gets just harder and harder, especially if you have dependents.
Yeah, and when I zoom out and think about it, I'm like, why am I letting two people that have never met me and have no idea who I am affect me in such a negative way? And I was like, I'm just giving other people too much power. And that was kind of the point in my life where I'm like, I put myself out there and I just have to be okay with the naysayers. And sometimes it's not worth fighting back. So
Yeah. I
just
mean,
got to be confident in doing the right thing. And then a lot of people were saying, this is really bad for you because they're saying bad things and they're two reputable people in the space. But
okay.
in my opinion, I thought that this was actually really good for me because it taught me a lot of things. And I also believe that it brought to light me in a public relations kind of way. And I feel like all PR is good PR if you're doing the right thing. And in my heart, I felt like I was doing the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we don't like the general public doesn't have as much vested interest. Like I don't invest in anything. I don't play tournaments. Therefore I don't do markup or have opinions on markup.
Hmm.
But we're just on the sideline. We're just like, well, we definitely don't like the arguing in a toxic sense. So everybody just like, bring it back. But we want to, learn from this experience from all parties and kind of go from there. Like, you put out good content. Doug puts out good content. Sean Deeb, even, I mean, he admits it himself, he's like an asshole, but he does bring good points, like
Yeah.
in his arguments. So let's
Yeah.
just try to take the best of it and move
I
forward.
think in general though, selling for tournaments and whether you sell with markup or not is irrelevant, but that's bringing outside money into poker and that's helping fuel the poker economy. So I think that having a system that's safe where people can invest in poker tournaments is really good for the economy of poker.
Yeah,
And I've seen that poker site that Daniel's supporting now, they actually build staking into the software.
Oh,
Uh,
I mean, I haven't read up on like that much, but I'll definitely take a look
Anything
after this.
anything that brings outside money in is really good for poker.
Right. It's like you said, bringing money into the industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of money is not going in the industry, or it used to not be. It's not as free as it used to be. But like people playing poker that have outside income, is bringing money into the poker industry, and
Yeah.
so So
I'm reading some of the comments.
already
Vibes needs to hit the gym. I mean,
more
these
than
comments.
me. I don't know. I think I need to hit the gym more than you do.
The comments are funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, like some of the you could have your experience too. I do like dealing with them, but some of the ones that just like repeatedly say stuff or are not listening to, they're not having a discussion. Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely okay tackling any topic, having a discussion. But some people are like, but this, and they're just like ignoring what you say and just like swerving all over the place to just like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
without a point, just to like be contrarian without a purpose. I'm just like, okay, forget it. Those are the guys I just like block. But
Yeah. Totally.
I'm totally okay with any opposite views. There's a lot of people on Live at the Bike which we don't share views, but we obviously respect each other as human beings, and we're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And we both also acknowledge there's 7 billion people in the world. Like, I may not be right. We both may be wrong,
Yeah.
and we just don't know. But
Yeah.
this is how we feel now, and there are much more important things than us arguing over, a certain point.
Yeah.
How do you deal with?
They're
they're different
like
classes.
ones like that that don't like make any sense. I just kind of laugh over. But in general, I ignore, and just move on. It took a while though. Like it takes a while to it's the experience of something. So like I could read in a book, and I remember probably 10 years ago when Christy started to create content, and she was a card player girl and poker news girl. She would go and read comments in the forums about how
Oh, it's way worse for women.
she needed to get her teeth fixed or her boobs were small or whatever. And I would sit there and tell her, like, why do you care? Like, these are just random trolls on the internet. And in theory, like, I'm telling her this. And then, 8 years
It's
later,
way easier to.
8 years later, when it actually happens to me, I'm like, oh man, I was so matter of fact about you should just ignore this. And
Yeah,
now that it's happening to me, like, once you experience something, then you get to like practice the intellect of what you know.
sure. Yeah.
And it takes having that experience a couple times and going through it a little bit to actually implement your intellect on the subject.
Shout out to Patrick Curran in the chat. Says me versus Trooper MMA fight. Like, what happened? Is he beefing me now? I mean, I don't even know.
I've met a couple guys in the poker vlogging community. For instance, I have met Trooper, and Andrew and Brad and I have worked together. And overall, I think the
Y'all seem
poker
like good
vlogging
guys.
community it's a really nice community. And while there is like maybe some small level of competition, it's not really, because the more that Andrew or Brad or Trooper or any of the other vloggers, Jamin, the more that they bring people into the poker space,
It's good for poker.
the better it is, and the more chance that they're actually gonna see my content.
Right. That's
So
what we were talking about before too, except for the see content part. It was just like if you're building attention for poker, actually everybody helps, and especially poker where by definition multiple people have to be involved in the hand.
hmm
It is kind of a team effort
Yeah.
to bring people in. This is not like even streaming video games. You have a solo view, so only one person's a hero. Like this,
hmm
just by nature, you need a lot
Yeah.
of people. Patrick Aaron says Matt Vaughn
I
versus
li-
JohnnieVibes MMA fight.
I've met Matt Vaughn too. Nice guy. Hung out a couple times.
Sometimes. I'm just kidding. No, he had a hand like he did of like with mine of I had a hand with him like multi-way, and he's like,
On live at the bike?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. And the thing is, it's like whatever. It's just it was very minor. I know it wasn't like malicious and stuff. I'm just like be more careful with your wording, especially
Yeah.
when dealing with other people
For
creating
sure.
content.
Yeah.
Because he was like it was like Ace King 6 or something. I had King 7 of spades. He c-bet. There's a call, and I called, And he's like, I don't know why Wayne would call that. I'm like, okay, well, I have second pair, backdoor, nut flush draw, and I don't think you have an ace, which he didn't have an ace. I mean, the third guy did have an ace,
Yeah.
but that's like, don't
Yeah.
know why. That's like really bad wording, you know? I clearly have things
I
going.
think that I agree with that, and I do my best to never throw people under the bus or challenge or disparage their play in any way. Because like this is my vlog, and if I'm going to disparage anybody's play, it's going to be my play.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel the same way. Like, when you mentioned about it's difficult showing that you lose, which is very common in poker just because you're dealt the losing hand,
Yeah.
like, you know, so frequently versus other things which may be more related to actual ability. I post all my major hands on Live at the Bike, and just like, yeah, I butchered quite a few of them.
Yeah,
I
totally.
mean, you analyze them, and I don't necessarily go. I have analyzed some of them, but like you're straight up, you know, being critical of yourself, and I'm just like, I'll put it out there, do whatever, say whatever you want,
Yeah.
you know. And then that's but definitely the biggest eye opener, and that we've experienced is that when we're facing a bet, we're like, well, I see my cards. We know the world sees what's going on. We're the only ones that don't see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's something I've definitely become very empathic for. And I'm just like, people who commentate should definitely play on the show, which you have, and
Yeah.
it shows, you know, in your commentary.
It's crazy. I
vlogs.
remember the biggest, one of the biggest hands I've had on Live at the Bike was when I had Pocket Kings.
Yeah.
And
That one's on there coming up. So.
oh, okay. And
Kings against aces, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I can talk about it later then.
Yeah, okay. Well, we could just get into your hands, but this is basically the summary of like content creators coming from a different space, but you kind of coming on Live at the Bike, so you have, you know, more experience than say me. I mean, I do other stuff like vlogs, but it's just I don't do the high quality stuff that you guys do.
Yeah.
But it's just the experience. Like, I'll be at Commerce and I was like taping like PLO hands or out here in mixed game because I just want the hands there. As like, I was here, I played, this is real, which is
Yeah.
basically what vlogs, like the core of what vlogs
Yeah.
should be, is just a real experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like, I started playing on Live at the Bike, and I was playing on some of the Friday shows, the 25, 50, 100 shows. And this was well before I started creating content, and it was just the evolution of me climbing stakes and taking a shot. And it's kind of funny that 6, 8 months after I come on Live at the Bike and play these big stakes, that my vlog took off. So I never anticipated when I was playing these stakes that anybody would care or want to watch these hands back over again.
Well, I mean, this is the latest incarnation of the Monday show, and it could change in the future. But for now, it's basically getting people. The only criteria is you play, you know, no one on the show, or you have like some relation to the show, or you know, you're doing some other stuff, which you obviously just like way qualify for. So of course, we'd love to get your point of view. So this hand is we believe JohnnieVibes' first appearance on Live at the Bike.
The first hand I played?
I believe so. It's the first hand of the episode, and it turned out to be a pretty interesting one. There's Brian Kim, shout out to him. He raised under the gun with Ace King off, and you're on the button with a hashtag implied odds hand.
Yeah, but I only have $8,800 here. I should have just folded this hand pre-flop. I'm already like, I already made a mistake here.
I mean, we do this all the time, and that's why like we can laugh at it. Like, I got buried on a session when Dan Zach was commentating, and he's like, Wayne the big loser. I'm like, fucking standard, you know? It's just like, if you can't laugh at yourself in this game, you're in for a really rough ride.
I think one of the things that happens is when you have a poor distribution of cards and you finally pick up something like Jack 8 suited on the button, you don't want to fold, regardless of the fact that
you're not supposed to.
a sicko player opened under the gun who doesn't make many mistakes and isn't going to, you know, bluff off against you. It's just when you're not deep, you know, I should have just folded pre-flop. I flop an 8 here. When it checks to me, I'm going to bet for protection because I think that an 8 is going to be the best hand. A lot of times his hand is going to consist of overcards with a spade sometimes, and I just get to fold out those dead hands by betting the flop. I don't even have to bet very big. And then when the turn comes a 6, puts a 4 card straight on the board, my hand is going to contain a lot more 7s than his hand is, especially holding an 8. I blocked some of the 7/8s that he could have.
And he didn't bet on the flop.
He didn't bet on the flop, yeah. So I just bet basically to get to showdown and extract a small amount of value. I bet small again, and he calls, and then the river.
Gets there.
Yeah, he gets there on the river, and
then check.
check.
This
So
is pre vlog, Johnnie Vibes, we believe is his first appearance. And then this is July 1st, 2017. So this is post-vlog?
No, this is
This is
pre-vlog.
still pre-vlog? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I remember this hand. This is you having pocket kings, and this is one of the things that I've mentioned, like, me personally, I haven't done this very often. I've obviously suspected when I'm against kings versus aces, and it's really not even that big of an error to, like, when you think well, it's just definitely an error if you're overfolding it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And you know, oh man, I remember this hand well.
Go talk it through. It's
Yeah,
your hand.
when I opened this hand, just a standard 3x open, it was a straddled pot, so it was 25, 50, 100 in this spot, and I had not been terribly active in this game. One of the adjustments that I had make to climbing stakes was I wanted to play a more solid pre-flop game because wanted to keep myself out of tough spots. And, given that I was taking shots and this wasn't my normal game. So when I open it up here and I get 3-bet to this massive sizing by Ken, I think that Ken has something and I want to pile some money in because I know that Ken does not like to fold pre-flop. So he made it 1450 and I made it 4000 and he has the stacks are wrong, but he has 14,000. So if you look at him here, look at him, he tilts back, he's like huffing and puffing, he looks at his hand again, he grimaces, he doesn't look like he likes the situation.
Right.
He's like, I should probably fold
Sigh.
here. Yeah, this doesn't look good for me. I'm looking down, but I'm actually looking at him directly under my bill. This is something that I do to hide my own face, but I want to see what he's doing. And I'm just praying that he calls because I think that he has a marginal strength hand and he just wants to see a flop
And then,
just based on the way. And then he moves all in right here.
yeah.
And that was not something that I was expecting, especially after all of that Hollywooding and
Right.
pretending like he wanted to fold.
Right.
So I quickly ask how much it is. I suspect it's around 10,000. And once I get the confirmation that it's a little over 10,000 more, I look at him a little bit longer and I'm like, well, I should just call here because it's kings versus aces and I've
Right.
already put 4,000 in and it's 10,000 more and it seems like this is just a standard cooler if he has it. But then I start replaying things back in my head. I'm like, first of all, I have not been active and I opened under the gun. He 3-bet me to a very large sizing. I 3.5x'd his raise and he did the Hollywood.
Yeah, the Hollywood definitely tips things.
And I'm like adding all these things up in my head and I'm like, he would just have to be insane to be bluffing here.
Right.
And
But to be fair, Ken is kind of insane.
yeah, and I decided that based on the Hollywood alone that he had aces. And I remember thinking that so many people were going to watch this and if he didn't have aces,
They would just like
that
rip
they
on
were
you.
going to rip me apart. And
Sure.
that was part of my psyche. So I knew that the safe play here would be to just call. Because if I just call, nobody's going to think anything of it. I have kings. The other guy has aces. It's whatever. And I knew that folding here would be a huge risk. Because if I did fold and he didn't have it, I was going to get torn apart. So the safe play would have been a call, but I just decided to go with what I thought was right and based on the Hollywood alone, fold. And if he would have never Hollywooded, I would have gotten all the money in here quickly.
Yeah, wouldn't blame you. And even with the Hollywood, even to be called, it's tough, man. Like
Yeah.
we've all been there.
And after I fold, I actually reach into my pocket and text my brother and I say, I just folded kings preflop. Can you turn on live at the bike to see if I
Oh, right.
to see if I made the right fold? And I was actually a group text, and they were like, "Do you want us to tell you if you made the right fold?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah. Patrick Curran with the rounders line. The fuck you lay that down.
This is me thinking about it, and then I'm like, I got to do it. I just have to go with the Hollywood read here.
You're like, I kind of want to buy dinner.
I just calmly.
You got a doubter here.
I calmly slide into the muck.
The win, Tien says, no way he lays down kings. Well, I guess you need to watch the hand of the days more because a lot of people in the chat know that Johnnie Vibes laid down kings.
And see, here you see me reaching from the phone. This is me
Yeah.
texting to find out.
Yeah, this was back before, any drama happens. Now we no phones. Like I know a couple people complain about phones at the table. We're just everybody agrees that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 30-minute delay, so I was like, let me know in 30 minutes if I folded kings correctly.
This is 2017 when the world was a simpler place. It's 2020 now.
Yeah.
We got some New Year's resolutions. There's shout out to Brian Kim again, and there's Josh Machiello. Saw Austin in there. Shout out to Harbs in the chat as well. Sandy Joy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any content online, so this didn't really create any buzz in any like forums or anything.
Well, I mean, one thing that you guys may not, or you may underrate, is how much buzz happens here and stays here, which is like a little bit like, and when we cross platforms, we forget that it's not our audience. So, say I appear in your vlog or on Joe Ingram's show, like they aren't going to show the same love and appreciation that they do on Live at the Bike, and vice versa. And it's kind of like you have a small plus, but you have to win over somebody else's audience.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, I've made a lot of good decisions on Live at the Bike.
Yeah, you've played very well. Some of the stuff that didn't turn out in your favor, it's very understandable, like why you did these things. So this is a lot of the clickbait hands or fancy plays get a lot of views, but a hand like this is just a super solid hand, and it looks innocuous from the execution. But these are the hands that are your bread and butter for like making money in poker. You have a good hand,
Yep.
and you get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. This is a hand that I could have 3-bet pre-flop, but Mike G opened it under the gun. So I decided to just call here, and then we obviously get a very advantageous flop with top pair, backdoor flush draw. So we bet the flop, and only the under the gun opener and Carl both call. So when I turn a flush draw, obviously this is a great card to keep betting and building a pot, just in case I do go backdoor flush, I can win a massive pot, and I can still get value from all worse kings and other hands that get sticky. So I decide to bet again on the turn and get called again, and then on the river, the board pairs.
So this is interesting though, because a wheel draw, whatever, would have a 3-2, say like open into 3-5 or ace-3, but you still choose to bet the river, and this is something, obviously, one, you have position, so you can see what they do ahead of time.
Yeah.
Obviously a 3 of kind of threes may just straight bet out.
Yeah.
But you get, hashtag live read, and you bet 900 for value.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would check back here, the river, but I wanted to use the sizing that I would get called by all kings. And sometimes we value cut ourselves, and sometimes...
Yeah, you could be wrong, and sometimes, but these are the hands...
sometimes he has ace king there, and
Right.
I lose,
Right, or aces, or, whatever.
Yeah.
But those are the scenarios where people don't focus on enough, and they're so focused on the fancy plays, or, when they ask you, oh, when do I lay down kings pre-flop? It's like, you did, but we don't recommend it.
Yeah, good, solid poker fundamentals and extracting value across multiple streets is how you're going to increase your win rate, and it's how you're going to win in poker long term, not betting the guy pre-flop
with the ace X
like,
which people do on me on here, and they're just like winning. I'm just like,
no, sure,
yeah.
like sometimes it's going to be the right play, but I'm just saying that those are not the mean. The mean is you value betting your hands well.
Right. And that's why I wanted to show that hand, which clearly, like running threes, it looks innocuous, but it's actually not necessarily that good.
Yeah, I don't remember this hand.
So this hand is like very similar with the reverse. It's not really focused on you, but you actually fold on the flop, one, correctly, but two, a spot where people easily could just be like, I'm just going with this hand. I have enough flush draw. So shout out to obviously Mamacita, JJ, Israeli Ron, Jeremy, Dr. K. Shout out to all these guys.
Yeah, it looks like I closed the action with ace-6 suited here,
which is totally normal.
You're out of the third blind, and I'm interested to see how this hand plays out because I don't really remember it.
Yeah, I purposely picked out these innocuous because you cover all these major hands on your thing, and you're probably not going to cover these where you're actually not that big of a participant.
Yeah. So, did I lead here? Oh yeah, I led. Okay. I think that closing the action out of the big blind, I'm definitely going to have a lot of nines here, and I would definitely play some nines this way. So what did I bet? 200.
200,
I bet 200 into 390,
390.
so I bet
Yeah.
about half pot. And it's interesting because I think that JJ isn't really going to have very many nines opening in early position here.
That is,
But he actually does happen to have a nine here, which he rightfully so raises for value.
even if he doesn't have nines, he could have jacks.
Yeah.
And but you're correct. If he has tens, he's kind of forced to fold. It puts queens, kings, and aces in a tough spot six way.
Yeah, so he makes it I'm not sure. He raises though. Okay, he makes it
550.
550,
Yeah.
so 350 more. We get an overcall.
No, Dr. K just ships it all
Oh,
in
for
for 705 with the
Okay.
straight flush draw,
Yeah.
obviously reasonable. And then Israeli Ron has queen nine,
Okay.
and he's like, how many nines are there?
Yeah, which I mean, you're not supposed to be doing this, obviously, in his spot, because you're inferring that you have a nine in your hand, and that can influence action from other players.
What did he do?
I
Just
honest,
talking?
I don't remember, but maybe he is just asking how much, and
This
but
is,
tough spot for him too.
yeah, definitely tough spot, but this is also like the reality of live poker is not everyone's going to have the same ethic system or just same customs.
Hmm.
So, it's hard because we have to try to find that balance, which is why there's like rules and why they're formed into
I think that
instill rules.
heads up, it's kind of fun to be able to talk to your opponent and
Sure,
have a
I
little
agree.
fun playing poker, but multi-way, you definitely have to protect the players that are in the hand and not talk. And I've been guilty of it before. I mean, if you play poker, you definitely have been guilty
Sure,
of.
everybody. And we all live and learn,
Yeah.
And, it's like, I don't know, I'll just call out myself. Like, when I'm on tilt or when I'm unhappy, I definitely, not on purpose, but I just tend to be like more rude and not as careful with,
Yeah.
the regulations.
Yeah, so it looks like Ron calls. Oh no, he raises all in, it looks like. I mean, I just think that this is an easy fold by me.
Like, excuse me. Yeah, of course, theoretically, we know this in our brains, but, we've also been in a less experienced state, and many people in the state where they might just say, you know what, I'm getting four-way action of the nut flush draw.
Yeah.
I'm probably 20, I can be 25%, or if both people have the nines and, JJ has a kings, now the ace, like you have running aces or whatever. I mean, you could
Yeah.
always be an optimist in these
Yeah.
scenarios, but even though, like you cleanly said, it's the right fold, and we know it's the right fold, a lot of people in this scenario, in a moment of weakness, like you said with the Jack 8 hand earlier, like
Yeah.
sometimes if you're not getting hands, you're just like, screw it, I call,
Yeah, totally.
and they
And
could add up.
the interesting thing is, if JJ actually had jacks, he probably would not raise the flop.
Right.
And so basically, the only guy that can really have jacks is the guy on his left. But I had a feeling that I mean, I could be up against Jack 9 as well from one of the guys on his left, Israeli Ron,
Yeah.
or
So you're drawing dead.
yeah. So I just felt like it was pretty easy to let this one go. I didn't even think about it for too long. Once it was my turn,
Yeah.
I just tossed it in the muck. And I
I
think
kind of brought this one out, and not so much for your play is quote quote standard,
mhm.
but a lot of people know
Yeah.
this but don't execute it,
Yeah, totally.
myself included, in my youth. That's kind of like why I find these hands interesting that we could bring out that aren't the clickbait hands like, oh my gosh.
I think what happens is people get emotionally attached to sessions. They
Yeah.
want to win in particular sessions, and if they're down, that'll be a spot where they might gamble.
Yeah.
And in a vacuum where you're not emotional, you just make the right decision, and the right decision there would have been to fold. So I don't do that all the time, but
Yeah.
I strive to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, we're taught you did this time correctly, and we strive to always do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like we admit, if things aren't going right, maybe we have a moment of weakness,
Yeah.
and in a quote quote not that bad spot. And here's the legendary hand where I was commentating, and let's talk to this one. And while this is a very clickbaitish hand, like, how much can you really like learn from this versus the last two hands, which
Yeah.
seem innocuous, but your play is actually quote quote more special in those two hands.
Yeah. And I think that there's some lessons to be learned from this hand as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So just
And
talk through your side, yeah.
yeah, so uh, Francisco and I have a little bit of a rivalry, and I'm not sure exactly how it started, but we've kind of clashed on some hands on Live at the Bike, and he's called me out and said he like,
You play tight like
that I
crap.
play tight and that I'm easy to bluff and all these things. So I think that Francisco is going to take some shots every once in a while, and I've been right. I've made some really big laydowns against him and been right, and I've, for the most part, done pretty well against him. But this particular hand, I just felt like it was coming, and I felt like a bluff was coming here. And obviously, having top pair with a queen kicker, I'm never going to be folding to a check raise in this configuration with two spades out there and straight draws. And the jack is definitely a brick card because he's not going to be check raising with ace jack, or any kind of draw that he would not have gotten there on the turn. So this is a mandatory turn call, whatever he bets, because what I'm thinking that he has is a set of fives, a set of sevens, or some sort of combo draw bluff or total air. Maybe a hand like, I don't know, king queen or something like that.
And to be fair, like just to be complete, obviously because it's Live at the Bike, he could have aces up, 7-5 2 pair.
True, true.
So.
Yeah, so yeah, those are definitely hands that he could have as well. But I think that just based on our history, I think that he's gonna have a lot of bluffs as well, which is why I'm calling here all the time. And his sizings are not overly large either. So there's 2,700 in the pot, and when he does go runner, runner, I'm just looking at the hands that could have been bluffing on the flop, semi-bluffing, which would be like hands like 6-8, hands like 6-4, hands like
A lot of spade draws,
spades,
yeah.
hands like that, and I don't see many of those coming in. Definitely 6-4 came in, and when he uses this sizing on the river, and I think he does a reach back for even more chips. Like he looks at his hand,
So yeah,
and once yeah, I think he adds more chips. Yeah, he adds more chips to it. And I had actually made up my mind pre-river that I was calling when no spades came. And looking back on it, I just don't think Francisco has the heart to go three streets here against me.
oh, shots fired. You guys are
Um,
playing tomorrow, by the way. So
and I could be wrong, but I I just decide that I'm gonna go with my if no spade comes on the river, I'm calling. And in retrospect, I think that I should have folded here because of 6-4 getting there, and the fact that I don't think that he's going to go three streets terribly often. And he shows me the runner runner, and definitely I was trying to
nice
figure out.
facial expression there.
I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out how he could have that hand.
He just tried to go for it. I mean, we know,
Yeah.
and you guys have a rivalry, and
Yeah.
like we've all been in your spot, and it stings, and it stings the most for you. But you know,
Yeah.
obviously, if we've been playing like a long time, we're like, damn.
But I really try to not say anything in these spots. I actually never said a word. I
Yeah.
didn't say like, "Oh, nice job, nice runner, runner," or anything that was like derogatory towards him.
Sure.
I took it like you're supposed to take it and didn't say anything and just rebought for more chips. Sure, I was confused as to how he could have that hand. That's just why I was looking at the board a little bit longer.
I mean, I kind of do this joke with online play. I'm like, my player notes are online. It's check raise, nothing, bet, 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 get there. I mean, it's just like we've seen it, like
Yeah.
especially online, and just it does get easier, but then it just it still
It
stings.
One of my pet peeves is when somebody gets lucky on someone else and the person that loses the hand says something derogatory towards the person that won the hand. Says something like, "Oh, you're so lucky," or "You're a fish. I can't believe that you check raised with nothing and went runner, runner." And that really bothers me. So I'd never want to do anything that resembles anything like that. So I'm not even going to say like, I'm not even going to say nice hand. I'm just not going to say anything, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I mean, I agree, and unfortunately, I'm guilty of like
Of course,
being
man.
rude from time
We've
to
all
time.
been rude, and like that, I think that's just the evolution of being a poker player is not doing things like that. And some takes some people longer than others, but trying to get
Just
there.
try to aim for it. So, guys, if you have questions for Johnny Vibes, put them in the chat or call the number below, and we will be here waiting for a bit.
Yeah, thanks for the messages in chat, guys. Shout out to Dream Mob Entertainment. Appreciate you showing up for the chat.
This is
So
not pre-recorded.
I saw some other really positive comments in the chat, so thank you guys for that. I read them and I appreciate them. I even read the hater comments, but I don't read them for longer than the amount of time that it takes me to look at it for the first time. Once it's there and I see it, it's gone forever.
Kevin McCormick says, "Hi Johnny, big fan and subscriber. That KK fold was the sickest fold. Thanks for sharing your thought process."
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It was, like I said, it was a big risk. Somebody asked if I'm headed to Cleveland or Pittsburgh anytime soon. I was in Cleveland a month ago and Pittsburgh a month ago, and I stopped in to Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh and played a 2-hour session. And I stopped into Cleveland's Jack's Casino and played a 2-hour session. These stops that I made on this road trip were not to make money playing poker. I just wanted to show face and send out on my Instagram, hey, I'm going to be in Cleveland. I'm going to play for 2 hours at the casino. If you guys want to come say hi, say hi. And people always came out, man. It's just so humbling and so cool that people watch the content and they show up to the casino and they just like want to mix it up and say hi. And Pittsburgh was another spot where I played at Rivers for a couple hours and mixed it up with a guy who was a huge fan. He drove 3 hours to come to Pittsburgh just
Wow.
to play poker with me, and like I definitely am grateful for that because it's been something that has enriched my life 100%. So I think it's really cool.
Guys, I'm just scrolling through the
As
comments.
far as the schedule going forwards, I already did a road trip that started in San Diego and went all the way across the country through Texas up to Tulsa, through Chicago over to Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Oh, we got a call. 708. This is Live at the Bike. You're on with Wayne and JohnnieVibes. Who's this?
What's up, Mr. 708? Make yourself heard.
Heard.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. He's had enough time.
Sorry, man. But yeah, then I went from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia and over to Jersey. Did not play in Atlantic City. It was really miserable. It was like a weekday and it was raining and I just felt like staying inside, worked on a vlog. And then we went down to Maryland Live, had a meetup game at Maryland Live with Andrew and Brad. Then went down to Miami, did a little vacationing down in Miami. And then over to Texas and did the whole Houston, Austin, San Antonio trio in 4 days. And then jetted back to San Diego. But I have so much more traveling coming up. I'm going to do more domestic poker rooms. Probably go back to Arizona, do some up the West Coast, go all the way up to Vancouver maybe. I'm going to be going to WPT Manila in the Philippines. Going to do WPT Taipei. Going to spend a couple weeks in Bali with the girlfriend. I'm sorry, with the wife.
Yeah.
She loves Bali. She went there one time and she told me that we have to go back. So that's on the list. And then we're also going to do Thailand next month. Vegas for the Super Bowl. Mexico City again. Probably playing an underground game in Mexico City. Gonna go back to Miami and basically what happened is I moved out of my San Diego apartment and we're reallocating that money that we would be spending on rent, which is $2,500 a month, and we're gonna spend the next 6 months traveling around to different poker rooms, playing poker across the world. We're gonna go to Russia. I'm gonna play WSOP circuit in Sochi.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the reason why we're going to Russia is because my wife is Russian and her dad lives just right outside of Sochi, and she has not seen
Interesting.
her dad in 22 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's I'm gonna create some content around that about us going back and her reuniting with her father and playing in Sochi as well. So it's just so many things that are going to be so fun, and we're really looking forward to. All right, we got 561 now in the house. Who is this?
Hey, this is Jonathan. How you doing?
What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, question for you guys. I'm a new player, rapidly getting addicted, and I've been playing pretty well, but hit the skids on a losing streak recently. Don't feel that I've been playing bad, just getting a lot of bad beats. Although I'm sure everybody thinks that from time to time. But wondering, what do you do in that scenario? Do you think you step back down to smaller stakes games? Do you just keep forging ahead, trying to beat your variance, or what's your thought process around for a newer player that's hit the skids a little?
Yeah, okay, so I'll say from a high level standpoint, you just have to have the wherewithal and understanding that these are going to happen. And one thing that I'll just tell you from someone that's been playing for 12 years, there's been times where I have broke even over a 350-hour sample size. And
Wow.
that's pretty long, So breaking even means that I was in a slump for that entire until I got unstuck 350 hours later.
Yeah.
So, and that might have been like being down 10K, then only being down 5K, and then shooting back down to being down 12K. So it's like this 350-hour stretch that was frustrating. So if pros go through that, you're definitely going to go through that as a new player. And as far as evaluating your play, I think that you really need to be talking hands with players that are better than you to get
Got
an
it.
outside perspective to see, in your mind, maybe you aren't playing that poorly or you're thinking that you aren't doing things that are emotional, but sometimes it takes a third party perspective to take a look and see, get inside of your mind and see if they can identify something that's going on.
Do you think a tighter strategy is good for a newer player, or would you
Yeah,
recommend,
okay. I would
Yeah.
actually recommend that. Like when you're struggling, one thing that you should do is get back to the basics. And the basics are playing 100 big blinds or whatever you're comfortable with and sticking to a solid pre-flop strategy and not getting yourself in high variance spots. And when you play lower variance poker, you're going to start chipping away and getting those small wins. You might actually take away some EV by playing this way, but it's going to help you build your confidence back and it's going to help you chip away at that slump.
And you like that strategy pre and post flop?
That's the problem is taking low
Yeah.
variance routes post flop sometimes means playing poorly and
Yeah.
means missing value. And you want to maximize value when you have hands that you can maximize value. So I would say mostly pre-flop, but post flop play your normal game.
Got it. And last question, real quick, I appreciate it, is if you were playing and you had a cold streak, would you limit the number of rebuys that you have in a given session and get up and leave, or do you just say, I'm going to power ahead? Because the bankroll is pretty solid compared to the stakes that I play, but at the same time, I don't want to be foolish if having to continue to buy in after, a few bad hands, etc.
Yeah, I would say that this is definitely player dependent, and it's also confidence dependent. When you're rebuying, you want to be confident that you're going to be playing your A game with that rebuy, and most new players won't be playing their A game. So I would stick to a rule that you make up for yourself. For the first, like, let's say 100 hours, I'm only going to rebuy twice
Okay,
until
twice is a good amount. Yeah.
yeah, and it's different for everyone, but like maybe that's for you where you're like once you get past the second rebuy, you recognize that you're not playing your A game. And for someone like myself, I've been playing for so long that I don't really have a stop loss anymore, and I feel like
Sure.
I play pretty solid through multiple rebuys. But that was a process. When I was a new player, that's not how it was for me. So you just build yourself up, and maybe after the first 100 hours, you can tell yourself, I think I have the discipline to, if it goes this way, to have a third rebuy and kind of create rules for yourself because discipline is going to take you a long way in poker. And if you can be disciplined with your buy-ins, that's going to help out a lot.
Perfect. And there should be some small expectation of loss at the beginning, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, just understand that if you're playing a pretty solid strategy, you're going to lose 40% of your sessions. And and that's if you're like playing really well against like fairly uh, a fairly recreational player pool.
Got it.
If you're,
Okay,
if
that's
you're,
good to know. Yep.
yeah,
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it.
yeah, of course.
Thanks for calling. Shout out to Detroit State. Oh, here we go. Next time. 815.
Yeah, hello?
What's up?
How's it going? You're on with Wayne and Johnnie.
Sweet. Can I get a Ripped Oil Brunson in the chat?
We're going to try to get him on Live with the Bike eventually. Obviously, he's out in Vegas, and he's got to take care of his
I never
wife.
really understood that meme. I don't know why people always say
Oh,
that.
because it's before your time. That's why. So online, like, like a joke would be to type in the chat "Ripped Oil," and then everybody's in on the joke and just says "Ripped Oil, Ripped Oil, Ripped Oil," and just like, oh yeah, he wrote a really good book. He was the Godfather. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That's where the joke came out, and then I guess if you weren't in that era, you wouldn't get it because just basically everyone's in on it.
Yeah.
And then now we want to bring him on Live with the Bike, so it's not Ripped Oil. He's Live with the Bike.
Doyle is alive and well. He's tweeting on a consistent basis.
Yeah. But so now people just like try to randomly carry on that joke, and then one day it's not going to be a joke. He really is going to be gone. But
I mean, he's definitely an icon, and he's probably nearing the end. So I think it's one of those jokes that we should probably
yeah,
can.
yeah. I mean, there were a couple of jokes on Live with the Bike, and then he tweeted back at Live with the Bike. He's like, I heard this on Live with the Bike, but he's got to know what the original came from. And so shout out to Doyle though. Shout out to Doyle.
So yeah, I have a lot of travel that I am going to be making content around, and I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. And the goal is that I am going to do really well. And once I settle down, I'm planning on doing the World Series of Poker again for like the 12th year in a row, and after that, we'll figure out where I'm gonna settle, but I'm kind of liking these 2 weeks at a time in these different destinations, so I can kind of get a feel for what it would be like to actually live in these places, and also get to connect with people that watch the videos. Where when I was sticking to Southern California and Vegas, I didn't get to connect with like a lot of the new people that watch the content. So I met probably a few hundred people that I would not have met had I not done the road trip, and that was really cool.
Shout out to your travels. Shout out to Detroit Siggy for donating $5. Happy New Year. Thank you for the shout out. Yeah, I mean your your vlog where you were moving away from San Diego, I had heard about it too, and then you were coming on, so I watched it in its entirety. It's rough because if you thought it was dry when you left, like when I left San Diego, I already felt it was like drying out.
Yeah.
So I mean, when things are gone, they're really gone.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe it was drying out in your eyes because the games were getting tougher,
Yeah.
but it actually dried up in terms of stakes. Like, we actually just aren't running the big games anymore.
Oh no, that's the same thing. Like the 40-80 limit hold'em, which was the best game in all of San Diego.
Oh yeah,
literally stopped running.
that did actually happen at Oceans. I remember that.
Yeah.
They would get it maybe once a week after that.
Yeah, and then it would be shorter time and short. Just like you said for
Yeah.
your games, it already happened there. And the thing is, if I'm going to play no limit hold'em, like in that era, Commerce had like 7, 10, 20 games and like 2, 20, 40 no limit games. I was like playing online. I was doing well. So I'm like, I just graduated from San Diego. A lot of stuff I wanted to pursue was in Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
it kind of was a no-brainer for me. 801. 801. You're on Live with the Bike.
That's a Utah number, right?
Hello?
Hello,
Yeah.
who's this?
This is Brandon.
What's up, Brandon? You're on with JohnnieVibes in the
Hey.
lane.
How's it going, Brandon?
Hey, Johnny. Have
What's
a
up?
question. How do you deal with players? Like, I'm an amateur. I've been playing for 15 years. And, just this last weekend in Nevada, I had 2 pair, and it was like an 8 and a 6. And the guy got so upset at me because I flopped 2 pair, and he had like ace 10 or ace king, and was so upset because I flopped 2 pair. I don't know how to deal with guys like that. I just get so wound up and
Yeah.
end up leaving the game.
You just wanted to defend yourself and say, like, I get to play my cards the way I want to play my cards because it's my money in front of me. And that's implied. I actually don't understand why this is such an issue for people because it's implied. Like you have money in front of you, you get to play those
Yeah.
chips how you want to play those chips, and the problem is that you're dealing with people that aren't very they're bad losers. They're probably bad winners too, but I think
Yeah.
people's personality and who people really are gets revealed at the poker table so quickly. So you're just dealing with a
Yeah.
guy that's like not very evolved.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And it seems like there's a lot of players like that. So I just get way too wound up. So I appreciate your comment.
Yeah, I think it's just having the awareness that like, how do you respond when somebody gets lucky on you?
I'm pretty positive towards them. I'm just like, in my mind, I'm just like, hey, play your cards however you want to play. If you want to play 8-3 or whatever, hey, you won the hand. It's poker. It's a part of poker is a little bit of gambling, and
Totally,
that's
man.
just how it is.
And I think that's the only way that we're gonna that's the only way we're gonna see change across the board is if we execute what we think is right, other people will see that and it'll slowly change. We telling people
Yeah.
to not get upset isn't gonna help.
Yeah, no. You gotta
Yeah.
try to set examples and just like, say what's better and actually do what's like. It's not do what I say, do as I do. Like we actually have to do it,
Yeah.
and then
Totally. Just don't contribute to basically what that person is doing. And that's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
something that I try to do myself. We just watched a hand where Francisco went runner when he was blasting off against me, and I actually did not say a single word to him. And I didn't,
Yeah.
didn't say anything bad because I don't want to contribute to a negative atmosphere of the game, and I want to set a good example of what it means to take a loss like a man.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, shout out to Wayne for the great show. Thank you. Bye bye.
sure.
Thanks, man.
It's not me doing the great show. It's a team effort. Words connect. No, just kidding. You take one more caller. Or you guys got questions in the chat? You got any shout out? You got to shout out your crew. Your brother, Christy, and
Yeah.
Daniel. And
Yeah, man, I got such a solid crew, and I think that the crew is what has made me. Because, first of all, if it wasn't for my brother and Christy to some extent, there's no possible way that I would still be playing poker for a living 12 years later. Because I've gone through periods of time where I didn't have any money, and I've gone through a period of times where I lacked confidence, and I went through periods of time where I wanted to give up. And because I had that support system around me of Andrew, Christie, and other players.
this is definitely San Diego, but finish up and then we'll take
Yeah,
this.
because I had those around me, it helped me navigate and continue to play the game. So, welcome to the show, 619 San Diego number.
Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Yeah. I think you might. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I did play with you a couple of times. I think it was a live cash game. I think yeah. My name is Wes. Yeah.
Wes, 7 Mile.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. 7 Mile. Yeah.
Are you Asian?
What's that?
Are you Asian?
Oh well, I'm half Asian though. So I mean, that's the thing. So many people don't know. I'm like, what's that?
I think I remember you. Do you have?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that would stand out as far as a hand or something we talked about?
Oh, yeah. I just want to ask you a poker-related question because I want to ask you, have you ever been in a situation where, you flop a monster hand, but you had no other choice but to fold that, even though you flopped it because the board looks the board looks too scary because one time I was dealt Jack 9 of clubs, and what happened was I was up against two players going to the flop. I managed to flop a king high straight, but of course the only problem with my flop straight was too many hearts for me to continue, and I just only had the Jack 9 of clubs.
There was 3 hearts on the flop.
Yeah, it was Queen 10. Queen 10 king, and then I had Jack 9 of clubs.
Yeah.
But the king Queen 10. They were all hearts, and then we got one, and then one.
I'll,
then I had one player. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I'll start off by saying that after playing a million hands online and 12 years live cash games, that yes, I've been in situations like that. I have been in pretty much any kind of situation that you can imagine, and there's always going to be an attachment to a flopped straight or a flopped big hand. And it's interesting that we always have pieces of information that help us throw our hand away. And I'm sure that there was something that happened in your hand where you felt like the other players had a flush. And sometimes with the information that we get presented, we just have to fold
Hmm.
big hands. And it's funny, the way that I see this happen a lot is with flopped pair plus flush draws because people might have like ace 10 of clubs and they flop a pair of aces and the nut flush draw and they love their hand so much and by the time they get to the river and they don't make their flush they still don't want to fold because they're attached to flopping the nut flush draw on the flop even though on the river they just have a pair of aces they still have this some sort of attachment to the way the flop was.
Yikes. Yeah, I have this weird tendency to predict bad beats before I even see them. So like, and it's not the first bad beat that I even predicted. Like, because even one time like during a cash game. I mean, this wasn't at the Mile though. I mean, this was like, I think this was at another San Diego card room. I think it's called Lucky Lady. I mean,
Oh, that's so
but
old.
like
Yeah,
where
Cool. Is it
yeah,
still around?
I've had to. I folded Queen Jack pre-flop, and then what the board like there was a Queen and a Jack. I would have flopped two pair, and then like there was another Queen on the turn, but and if I remember, I think
here
the river came an ace.
I have something for you. When you fold your hand, don't pay attention
Hmm.
to the board because it's irrelevant. Your hand is gone. There's no point in emotionally attaching to what could have been or what would have been. It's not going to help
Yeah.
you in your poker play at all.
Okay, so I mean
Because
that's
then you're
why.
going to be attached to it the next shuffle and you might feel like, certain cards are hot or, things that don't matter. So try
Yeah.
not if you're one of those people that do get attached to, luck or superstition, practice not looking at the what would have come once you folded a hand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get you because
It's not going to serve you.
I didn't feel like yeah. What's that?
It's not going to serve you well going forwards.
Oh, yeah, I get you. So yeah, I think that's all. I think
Yeah.
that's all about the questions. I mean, well, I think one more question. Like, I think I did. Have you heard about like I think what's coming in the WSOP like this year? I think it's they say they're doing like the Big 50 again, which is kind of strange. But I could be wrong because like
Yeah, they
it's like
are. I've
they.
seen that. I've seen that on the schedule. And if you like playing tournaments and you're going to play a tournament, that has to be the one that you're going to play this year. If you're going to take a shot at a WSOP event ever in your life and you're a low stakes player,
Mhm.
the Big 50, without a doubt, is the highest value tournament. It's the biggest opportunity to take a small amount of money and turn it into a large amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And if I had one shot, that's the shot that I would take.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it might as well call it the Big 51. Like $510 buy-in with a $51 entry
Yeah,
fee.
I think that would actually be good marketing, but yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the call,
Well,
Wes.
All right, Wes.
all right.
All right.
All right. Good.
Take care.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. So if you've been living under a rock, we're gonna paste a link to Johnny Vibes vlog, high quality vlog on the bottom. Got anything else to mention?
No, just that in my one of my most recent vlogs, I talked about the games drying up and talked about how my wife and I are making drastic changes in our life to continue the poker lifestyle and to continue to try to earn a living through poker. And what I'm doing is I'm telling that story through YouTube in the most honest way that I can. And you know, if things don't go well, you're going to see on YouTube. If they do go well, you're going to see it on YouTube. And
And
I'm making a concentrated effort this year to really grow my channel. So I'm going to keep pumping out the highest quality that I can and stay out of trouble.
all right.
And stay out of trouble and out of Sean Deeb's and Doug Polk's mouth.
Well, either way, like we're ever evolving, and just like poker, or just life, you're always going to think like a year ago, oh, how, like, why was I so stupid? Why did I make that bad decision? That never ends. So we're always going to be improving, you know?
Yeah.
This probably goes for them too. I mean, they're human. They improve too. So hopefully at some point we could, you know, all be better people and kind of laugh at this in the past. But this is the new year, 2020. So this is our New Year's resolutions.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited about what's to come for the year, and I just want to continue. You know, I feel like at the beginning of New Year's, people are always inspired to make big things happen, and it's no different for me. I feel re-energized in poker. I feel re-energized with my content. I feel re-energized with the ancillary businesses that I'm creating around the personal brand. So I'm looking forward to the year.
There's a link in the chat. Subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and go to JohnnieVibes vlog in the link down below.
And thank you guys for all the patronage of the commenting and showing up for the chat. I really appreciate every one of you, everyone that I've seen on the road. And if I haven't seen you on the road, I hope to see you on the road in the future in a poker room near you.
And become a content creator so you know how hard it is. And even if you don't get along with another content creator, they're putting in work. You don't have to fire shots. Just, you know, kind of let them do their thing, and, you know, just appreciate that they're bringing in people to whatever world we're trying to build.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thanks, man.